You make life what it is. You have choices and decisions. And you can either sit and wallow or you can get on with it. We were very fortunate to travel around the world. The best houses, the best cars, the best restaurants. Nothing was ever out of bounds. We always had a plan B. Overnight, just it all been taken away. And I'm really thankful that we got to go through that situation, because it was not a breakdown, it was a breakthrough. I remember opening my house up at the weekends. Come, buy, sell, just to make ends meet.
Are we good? Yep. Okay, cool. So tell me about that journey.
As a child, we moved around a lot. I didn't even know interior design was a thing, but what I did know is how a space can make you feel and how that impacts your mental health. I was always rearranging spaces to make them feel homely, warm. And as I went through life, moving lots of different times, through lots of different situations, I had this burning desire to create safety for other people. I found my calling in life when I had an opportunity to start property. And for me, it was about creating safe environments for other people. And I think as a child, especially moving back to Northern Ireland, you were identified by the street that you were on based on the current affairs of the country. I can see how much it has had an impact in my life of moving around. And this is why I've translated it into my interior design business, but more so into my current third business of Design Boss Diary, making women feel safe in their businesses and supporting them.
I'm just watching you explain to me. I can see a lot of emotion there. And I didn't know that part of your story. I went to Belfast for the first time. I'd never been to Ireland before, and I didn't know about the history. So that divide of what you're describing, I can feel that. I really can feel that. And when you talk about home being a safe space, I know that one of the prerequisites of my moving house and a house that I bought in every house was my bedroom is my safe space.
Absolutely.
And we've got the top floor of the house in this house. And before we had a beautiful big bedroom that I just said to my husband, I want to create this space for us. So it's our safe haven, so that when things are going a bit hectic with the kids, that we can feel that we're just detached from everything that's going on. When we walk into that room, the world changes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're telling me that you create for women especially, because safety is so important for women mentally.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everything that you've just told me. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for sharing that, because I know that was quite emotional for you. Let's move on to this amazing, successful woman that sits in front of me.
You're too kind.
And let's get some tears of pride and emotion going here.
Yeah.
Because that's what I feel that you need right now. You're a woman who has gone from earning £75,000 a year up to £250,000 a year. You have been dealt a hand of cards at a time where a family business had collapsed. You had an 18-month-old child at this point, and all of a sudden you're the breadwinner and you're going to have to deal with whatever's put on your table.
Yeah.
Talk me through this amazing inspirational journey of resilience that you've been on.
I had the most amazing figures growing up. Even though I came from a divorced household, I had a very resilient mother, a powerhouse of a father, and two incredible grandparents. And I'm the type of character, you make life what it is. You have choices and decisions. And you can either sit and wallow or you can get on with it. And that's very much what I was shown through my childhood as well. We lived an amazing life, me and my husband. We were very fortunate to travel around the world, the best houses, the best cars, the best restaurants. Nothing was ever out of bounds. Through both very successful careers. We always had a plan B up until that day. And I remember overnight just it all being taken away. And I'm really thankful that we got to go through that situation, because it was not a breakdown, it was a breakthrough.
Do you want a tissue? Yeah. Are we good? Yep. Okay, cool. So tell me about that journey.
I think for me, it was a breakthrough rather than a breakdown. It's made me the woman who I am today. No one ever prepares you for a situation like that. You hear it, you talk about it. You know, you think, would it ever happen? But no one actually prepares you for the journey that you have ahead. And I think for me, it created even more grit and determination and tenacity that I have today because of the journey that I went on. And so many people say to me, oh my God, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But actually, I had to go through it to make me the woman that I am, to support so many women in their journeys of what I'm doing now. And at the time, you don't see the silver lining. There is fog. And you're very much in fight or flight. You don't know where your next meal is going to come from. I remember opening my house up at the weekends and just basically come, buy, do what you need to do, sell possessions, just to make ends meet. And my studio was in its infancy in the first couple of years. And I had to take a real hard look at myself inwards, all ego aside, to pivot a business with an 18-month-old baby whilst selling everything I owned. And I think the one thing that I got through, that got me through, was the internal work. That's a massive thing. And that's when I really started to pivot myself and my business. But the journey was not easy.
I think for once, I just want to take a moment to take all of that in. I think you, and I'm not going to use this word loosely, we talk about resilience. I see a woman here who has the real meaning of the word resilience. To have the fear that I feel when you say, I didn't know where the next meal was going to come from. I didn't know where I was going to find the money, and I had to sell everything in my house. We've all had that thought in our heads at some point. The what ifs, if we don't have a good month at work, or, financially, I know myself and my husband were struggling because we had 2 mortgages, and what were we going to do if we didn't bring in the money? How, were we going to have the house repossessed? What was going to happen? All those thoughts go through your mind, but actually to live in that reality of everything falling apart, that's you, first of all, thank you for sharing it. And as I said, you are the true meaning of the word resilience. You've got a book coming out.
I do.
You're going to be writing a book, or you are currently writing a book.
Currently writing the book.
And I'm going to imagine that this is where the book has come from. And I would love you to share to everybody about the book, why you've written it, when it's coming out. And the name of that book, I think, is prominent at this point, which I'd like you to introduce because it's your book.
Thank you. The book is Finding Your Light. It is part autobiography, part strategy, and part mindset. So the book is written in pillars of my story from 2018 right through to current day. And it weaves in my strategies and my toolkits of how I got through each part of my journey, so that I can support as many women going through their journeys, and they are able to turn to different sections of the book, not only to hear parts of my story, but also to support them on their journeys of what they're going through. And I've known for a very long time that I've needed to write this book. It was very, very raw, even up until most probably 3 years ago. But now is the right time to write it, and we are going to be publishing it next year. Very excited, because there's only so much I can do in one given time, in one given month, with amazing women that I work with. And this book is to showcase coping mechanisms, strategies, toolkits for women that need it the most.
And I'm very excited to read this book because, as everyone knows, I'm a coach, but it's always good to hear other people's coping mechanisms and strategies. And I love the fact that you are very much a woman who encourages other females to create their own businesses, to go on a road of discovery and to support them. And as you said before, in a safe space, because women feel very vulnerable in this world of business and finance. And because, a lot of people think that, men are the guys that just go out and run all the businesses. Actually, we have a lot to give as females into this world.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you create such a feminine vibe around it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of business women who are quite alpha male. They're quite loud and out there, but you make me feel calm and there's a gentleness to you. And I think that female business owners need that more than anything.
Yeah.
That we don't need to put on this facade of being these strong, almost have like this kind of male-driven personality.
Yeah.
We can be soft. We can be gentle. We can be these powerful women.
Oh, absolutely.
But still keep our femininity.
Absolutely. And do you know what? It was only up until 3 years that I learned that you have to play in your divine feminine. I come from a very alpha masculine background. All of my peers around me are males. My father, my husband, I've had male coaches prior in the property industry. And there are very alpha masculine sides to me in business, but that only gets you so far. And when the true magic started to really happen was when I played into my divine feminine. And I really learned how to play into my divine feminine through one of my coaches. And as a woman, I am the biggest cheerleader for women. And you meet women say, oh, I'm collaborative and I cheerlead and champion women. And then behind the scenes, they're tearing other women down. And, you know, I've had that even most recently happen to me. And I just can't understand it. And it's because they don't understand their own divine femininity. And when you can play in your divine feminine as a woman, the most amazing things happen. The most magnetic sales months, the connections that you make with other women. And everyone says, oh yeah, I'm a woman's woman, but are you? And that's where the internal work comes from, is when you can do the internal work and you can show up and not only get stuff done in business, but you can also show up in your best light as a woman as well.
You talk about energetics and strategy.
Yeah.
And I know that you're very much weighted on energetics.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting here in front of you as a woman and you're my coach and I'm like, okay, so I've got to put food on the table. You've been through that experience. How is being energetic, like feeling all this amazing, I guess, the vibe that you're explaining, how does that generate me income?
Great question. I love this. We are energy. We're energy beings, and we carry different frequencies about us. We attract and align different frequencies as well. And when you are carrying more of a negative imprint and a negative frequency yourself, with an output, with the type of people you surround yourself with the drama, that detracts from opportunities, from growth, from attracting money into your life. When you can reprogram and positively speak to your subconscious internally, positive output, alignment, internal dialogue, you attract a certain type of energy and being. I carry a very spiritual side to myself, and I know the importance of internal work. You're getting up, you're creating positive dialogue every morning to yourself, your subconscious, the energy. And when we can do that on a daily basis, we attract more magnetic energy through people and opportunities, like I've said. And that naturally brings in more sales. That naturally brings in more collaborations, more opportunities for growth. And that in turn, then, when you look at it from a business strategy point of view, with financial roadmaps and what you've set to do for the months, that has a more positive spin. You dictate your happiness. You dictate your choice. You dictate your roadmap. Someone that is very negative, oh, it's just not working out for me. Oh, I've got no alignment, no growth, nothing's coming in for me. Well, of course. Look at yourself. Look at how you're talking to yourself. Why would someone want that? Why would someone go and choose to work with you when you're like that? But if you're getting up in the morning and you're like, today is going to be the best day. I am living my life today like all the opportunities are available. And when people meet you, they can feel that and they want more of you. They're going to give you more opportunities. And that moment really came for me when we had the collapse in 2019. And I started really understanding that 80% is internal energetic work and it's only 20% strategy. Prior to that, I was banging my head against a brick wall. I was 100% strategy. I'd pay everyone to get the 100% strategy. And that is why the business only reached 75,000, because I was so weighted on business strategy. I didn't understand back then that you had to open up your internal world. And when I opened up my internal world and I started to realize that there is a way that you should be speaking to yourself, that there are practices that you can do, subconscious reprogramming, rescripting, realignment in business, that is when everything started to change in my world. And that is why I double down on it as a coach and mentor. But I myself have a specific subconscious mindset coach, because you are a limitless being when you can tap into your internal dialogue. And that is why a lot of people get stuck in life.
You mentioned to me about holding up a mirror to yourself at a point in your journey. Talk me through that experience of suddenly realizing you held that mirror up. What did you see?
I think I've had two incidences in life where the mirror has been held up. The first one was I got to go to the toilet in the middle of the night. I was in this crazy fog of motherhood, postnatal depression, hiding in my business. And I kind of stumbled out of bed, and in this faint light in the hallway, kind of stood in the bathroom mirror at the door. And I really didn't recognize the woman that was staring back at me. It was a huge realization that actually I'd completely lost myself in life. I'd lost my identity at that point. And I think the mirror really taught me that night, you do so much for everyone else, but you don't do enough for yourself. And that's when I understood that actually I've gone so far down a road that I really needed to find my way back. And that's very much what we talk about in the book, the identity void crisis. So many women go through it, and actually so many women don't talk about it enough. And they go on this journey about trying to come back and create a new identity. But it's not about finding a new identity. It's about remembering the fire within, remembering who you are as that woman. And that's when the first mirror was really held up. It was remembering me, what I was here to do, and how I then went on that journey to find my original fire. And that was the big turning point where I really started to do a lot of work. And thank God I did, because that was 2018 when the crash of the business happened in 2019. I often sit back and think, would I be a different woman going into it? Would I be as resilient and strong? And I often question that. And I think it could have been a very different outcome. And then the second time I had a mirror held up to me was after that incident, when I started this business. And going back to imposter syndrome again, I had several people in the industry approach me when I started Design Boss. Other huge coach and mentors. And they turned around and said, we've got your cards marked. We can see what you're doing. And I sat and questioned myself, should I be doing this? And then actually the mirror said, no. Remember who you are. Remember the journey that you've come on. And remember what you are doing. This is not for yourself. This is for other women. You are here to support and change the lives of other women. Stay in your own lane. Don't get ahead of yourself. Just take each day as it comes and remember that fire within.
That's
really
powerful. Really powerful.
Yeah.
And I guess what you said about other coaches or other big saying what they said to you.
Yeah.
How has that affected you going through or growing the business now? I know you've said that you stay in your lane. Are there other coaches out there still like that? Are people kind of fighting for the top spot and to be the go-to coach that, and trying to draw all this business and I guess people into what they're teaching, but that sounds very unauthentic.
I think what you see on Instagram and what happens behind the scenes are two very different stories. And that is why I show up as I am, as authentic as I am, because, the person you see on Instagram is the person that you see here and now today. And I am me at the end of the day. And I have been in situations where you see people show up on social media and then you meet them in real life and you think, oh my gosh, it's like two different people here. But then when you get to experience them saying something else, it shows their insecurities, sadly. But yes, there are. I've had people say to me, I don't want you to cannibalize my business. So you stay in your box over there and you do that. I've had people say, I've marked your cards. I'm watching you very carefully. If I see any of my content on your page, I'm coming after you.
Wow.
And there is still this undertone in the industry where women are trying to tear each other down. And that is one of the main reasons why Design Boss Diary started. A lot of people gatekeep. I don't believe in gatekeeping. If you have the toolkits to support a woman succeeding, share that. Because if you can stand true in your own confidence of what you're doing in your business, you will always have business. Yeah. There are enough chimney pots to go around, everyone. And that is why I work with so many interior designers. Now, an interior designer is an interior designer. But actually, it's about showing women their niche, their edge, their zone of genius to support them in getting all the work. And you can have one woman with one zone of genius and another woman with another. They will both thrive. They will both thrive. So yes, this still happens on a day-to-day basis. Yes, it still goes on. But it's remembering what you are here to do. And I think so many women get caught up in other people's lanes and other people's journeys. And that's where imposter syndrome can really eat you alive. Yeah. And it's about remembering why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. And I think if you can really lean into that and your journey and your story and why you're here to serve, you will always have work. And it's about just being you.
I normally sit here and ask people what their golden thread is running through their story. 100% resilience. But I'm also going to add that you have this real, authentic calmness and beauty within inside you as well. So please do not forget that, and keep holding that mirror up and seeing the woman that you are today.